So I recently finished the main story of Sleeping Dogs. It took about 20 odd hours, including side content, which I messed around with quite a bit. But it got me thinking about replayability of games. You know, I've come to realize that replayable is quite a generalization or a broad category of game, right? Because you've got, for example, Red Dead Redemption 2, that is so massive that to fully enjoy everything the game has to offer, you realistically do have to come back and replay the story and take a different approach to the game and put more focus into exploration now that you've experienced the main story of the game. And then you've got other single player games, whether it's indie, grand strategy, whatever, which provide a unique gameplay experience every time, depending on the way you want to play. Say, I'm a big fan of Europa Universalis 4. I have a couple thousand hours in that game, and it's great because every time you play, you decide what the game gives you. I think, in terms of replayability, that is the ultimate prerequisite. You can choose what the game provides you with. But with Sleeping Dogs, it's quite a bit different. While I will say Sleeping Dogs is a replayable game, it's not in the sense that every time you play it's different. In fact, it's basically the same thing. I've played this about 3 times now, the story, all the way through. It's the same thing every time. There's no choices you can make. But where Sleeping Dogs sort of thrives, I think, is how much they're able to fit into a tiny box. Look at the map, right? It's tiny. It's not super small, but it's nowhere near big. Hong Kong, or the parts of Hong Kong you have access to, is split into 4 sections here. And then connecting them is a circuit highway. And then 3 pathways across the map. And then all this grey, you can't access. There's nothing there. But when you're exploring the game, it never feels like you're trapped or you're limited as to what you can do. You drive through any of these towns, there's constant side content, there's races, there's like this game's Strangers and Freaks missions, there's collectibles, fighting tournaments, places to eat, you can do karaoke, you can gamble, and you have different houses to visit and police jobs, basically everything. It's full. There is never nothing to do. But it's quite interesting because none of the side content is particularly unique, right? I suppose aside from the cockfighting, there's nothing in this game that sort of provides an experience that is better than its competitors. Face value. You know, you've got your karaoke, Yakuza, you've got fighting tournaments. This game does have an amazing fighting system, but it's not unique to the game. Races, Grand Theft Auto. The driving in this game, it kind of sucks, right? But it's still fun. It's there for you to do. And the story, while I do love the story, you have no control over the direction of it, which I think is good. I'm not a fan of choice in games. Red Dead Redemption 2 is probably my favorite game that has given you so much control of the story. But say with Grand Theft Auto 5, with the multiple endings and stuff, I don't dig it. So yeah, while I am a fan of letting the writers decide what you do, there is the limitation of the story being the exact same every time you play it. Which is why my replays of the game have had about 3 years in between. I first played this game maybe when I was, if I had to guess, 12. Then a year or so later, a couple years, over the lockdown, I played it again, which was my main experience with the game the second time around, where I played it alongside a good friend of mine at the time, and we had fun experiencing the game together and sharing cool things we found. And then now the third time, which is about five years later, about, which is crazy. This game came out in 2011. I was too young to play at the time when it came out, but I've played it 3 times across my not very long life, but still very spaced out. Spaced out enough for me to have grown and changed drastically in between the events, right? But it's one of those games that is sort of stuck in a good way. It's timeless, I think. The graphics for 2011, an open world game, are really good. The experience of walking or driving around Hong Kong at night when it's raining, it looks great. I know that's sort of like cope for graphics in game. Oh, the water looks good, but it does. The gameplay, it's not too advanced, but at the same time, it's not archaic, you know? It's standard. It's definitely a video game, you know? You come back to it, it's basic as hell. It teaches you how to fight, which is decently complex, but still very simple. And the gunplay is beyond simple. It is literally point and click. But it's comfortable, you know? The reason I played this game was, I watched Ballad of a Small Player with Colin Farrell, which takes place in Macau, but, you know, similar vibes. And it reminded me how cool Hong Kong, Macau, China is, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna have to revisit this game, because it sort of hit me with the nostalgia for the whole aesthetic. So here I've entered one of the martial arts tournaments you can find around the map, just to show off how cool the fighting is in this game. It is essentially just clicking the left mouse button a couple times, but through collectibles you can unlock new moves, which do make fights easier, but they make fighting fun. Replayability is about having fun, right? And it's not about skill, while there is a little bit of like, you do have to focus sometimes. But it's really fun, you know, doing all these cool takedowns, hitting combos, breaking legs. It is just a classic, comfortable video game experience. Sleeping Dogs is a very special game. You can't deny that. But it's a simple game, and it's great. Another thing about the game is that I know I've described it as a simple, comfortable experience, but there is still a lot of talent in the game. It's fantastic to just experience. It really captures Hong Kong extremely well. The game developers went to Hong Kong, you know, analysed the streets, how people go about their lives, and really captured the city. Even down to little cultural things, it's very money focused, you know. There's opportunities to gamble. People will pay you to do almost anything, and obviously the game being a game about crime, it's all about money, which is, you know, it's a big stereotype about the Chinese in Hong Kong, but it's there, you know. Okay, I'm just locking in for this fight because there's a lot of people here. See, when you break someone's leg or someone's arm, the people around them flinch and create more opportunities for you to take down a horde of enemies. And this game which there's a flaw in a lot of games which have a lot of this kind of combat. Take Assassin's Creed, or the older ones anyway. Let's say you're fighting a group of 5 people. They will take turns. They will each come up to you and let you kill them one by one, providing you like a perfect sequence of counters and parries to wipe out as many men as you want in a perfect form, in a perfect sequence. Sleeping Dogs is not guilty of that. They will send several enemies at you and confuse you and make you kind of overwhelmed, which does add a bit of challenge. You know, you can be fighting one guy and a bigger guy will come behind you and grapple you, you know? Sleeping Dogs has what's called a face meter, which is essentially buffs that you get by being violent, you know? There's no examples here, but throughout the game encourages you to be extremely brutal. You can put people in ice chippers, shut doors down on them, throw them off balconies, impale them, and you get rewarded for that by your face meter filling up. Get a bit of slow-mo there. People are scared of you now, and you deal extra damage and you regain health a lot faster than before. The way I sort of thought about the main character Wei Shen this time playing Sleeping Dogs, he's like the V from Cyberpunk 2077 of Hong Kong. He sort of just turns up out of nowhere. People kind of know who he is, but he's an outsider, kind of. And he works his way in and becomes an integral part of the people there, and he finds himself living in the heart of the city. A lackey will bring you a car anytime, anywhere. That is fire. But he becomes ridiculously overpowered, and he becomes sort of a god, right? V, from what I know in Cyberpunk, is considered the most powerful person in the game, because obviously it's the player controlling them. You defeat Adam Smasher, and you know, you bring down all these institutions just sort of off your own free will. And this is what Wei Shen does. He arrives as an undercover police officer, and he essentially cripples most gangs in Hong Kong. The Sun On Yee survives, and it elects a new chairman, and it carries on, but it's so different from when Wei Shen arrived. The competitors are now essentially non-existent because you killed them all. These people that were once seen as untouchable or invincible in the Sleeping Dogs universe, you touched, you know? You brought down, and it's not through any big plot or anything like that. It is because you're the player. And that's what the player does. You waltz into strongholds, gang hideouts, whatever you want to call it, heavy security, and you wipe them all out because you have a mouse and keyboard and they don't. Unless it sounds like a criticism, but it's not. Video games are supposed to make you feel like you are a god. I know there's games that make you feel small and weak on purpose, and they do a great job at it to create a unique experience. But this game, it makes you feel like the boss. Even when you're utterly at rock bottom. There was a time in the story where Wei was exposed for being a police officer. He was kidnapped, tortured, all that. Doesn't matter. You know, he fights his way out. He uses his skills. You find a gun, you've won, you know. The gunplay is ridiculously simple, as I said before, which also allows you to just blitz the whole game, which is cool. Sleeping Dogs isn't meant to be a difficult experience, it's meant to be a fun one, which I love. Honestly, the most difficult part of this game probably are the races, because simplicity in certain mechanics can often make them fairly difficult. I've talked about this before in I believe it was my last video, where the driving is so simple that it becomes quite difficult, even with the gunplay. It becomes infuriating because sometimes the game doesn't do what you want it to do. The turns you want to make don't completely finish, or the targets you want to hit, your bullets seem to just go around them. But at the end of the day, its simplicity means that eventually keep trying and it'll work, you know? Can I buy a car? Yeah, you. There's no like car dealerships. You just walk up to a strange man and he has a bunch of cars for some reason. So money isn't ridiculously hard to come by in this game. But you don't find a lot of it in one go. You sort of pick it up as you play. And when you do certain missions in the story, you'll get a crap ton. I think I'm gonna buy a new motorbike. Yes. There are a weird amount of vehicles to purchase in this game. You don't need them all. With the races, the races are divided into classes, so you've got Class C races, B races, A races. You don't need the best, like, there is no best car. You just buy an expensive car and you can win, you know? You don't need to explore the options, which is good. I mean, this game, while driving is a massive part of it, you know, you can hijack vehicles, shoot from vehicles, all that. It's not like Grand Theft Auto where the game, you know, wants to attract people who are into cars. It doesn't attract people who are into guns. It attracts people who want to play a good video game. So, yeah, that's about all I have to say, really. I probably repeated myself about 10 times on each subject, but I just thought I'd release my thoughts about replayability and how it doesn't always have to be a masterpiece of a game like Red Dead 2 that can bring you back. It can be a fun, simple experience. I suppose it's similar to coming back to a fighting game that you're sort of okay at, you know? Or replaying a Mario game. Anything like that. Anything arcadey, fun, enough to do. It's a detailed game. There's always something to do. You'll find things that you forgot were there. But at the end of the day, it's the same experience that you love.